How's it going? I'm Marlene. Thanks for wandering by. So today I thought I would just pop on and do my Scorpio 1 reading here on camera with all of you. I've done this before with one other reading from the Decan walk. So yeah, so this is a spread that I created for Decan Walk 2023, as we are currently in the first decan of Scorpio, Mars in Scorpio. So I have this PDF of the spread. I'll leave a link to it below. I'll also leave a link to, it was just my very last video of talking about the Scorpio 1 decan. So you can check that out in case you have no idea what I'm talking about. But through all of that, learning about the decan, I came up with this particular spread. And for me, this spread has a lot to do with how we navigate loss. So the spread is Scorpio 1, Mars in Scorpio. And so our main decan card is the 5 of Cups. There's also a couple other cards to take a look at. The Tower card represents Mars and the Death card represents Scorpio. And so through that, video, I realized and shared with you that there's a lot of Mars energy and a lot of, there's a lot of Mars energy in this decan, because it is the planetary ruler of the decan. It's the planetary ruler of the sign of Scorpio, and also Scorpio cubed, because Scorpio, the thing about Scorpio is that it's a transformative kind of story with the symbol, the animal, the sign of Scorpio, because there's 3 kind of stages of Scorpio, where the lowest being the scorpion, then the snake, and then ascending into an eagle or phoenix. And so that's a image. Those images are things that we see in Scorpio. So I created this spread to kind of, move down the tower and then rise up like a phoenix, like the Scorpio, like the sign of Scorpio does in terms of transformation. And it's also about navigating loss. So, you've been staring at this, but I can read it to you. Consider how you navigate loss of any kind in your life. And now imagine that process moving down the tower and then rising up like the scorpion phoenix. And then these are the 7 different positions. So I'm going to do that. But first, let me show you some of the decks that I picked out to potentially use for my reading. So let me light my candle here, because my light isn't it's early morning, but the sun, it's kind of cloudy today. So okay, so here are a couple of the decks that I picked. First, I picked the Klimt Tarot. This is one of my favorite tarot decks. It's mass market. I love it so much. This is such a mood, and I feel like it really works well in terms of for Scorpio season and as a Scorpio deck. I know that Scorpio is a water sign, but it feels like fiery water. I mean, there's a lot to do with secrets and sensuality, and this deck with it has, the Klimt artwork. It feels just so oh, I love this. This is my favorite Lovers card, probably. Well, I can't say that because the Lovers card is the Gemini card, so I love it so much in so many different decks. But I don't know. Anyway, back to this and Scorpio. It just feels like it's so sensual, and there's these bodies, and I don't know, the coloring, the black and gold. It feels like Scorpio. It feels right for Scorpio. It also feels right for this type of reading, because it's kind of melancholic and shadowy. Oh, look at this Judgment card. That's amazing. Yeah, I love this deck so much. It feels like it might be a good one for this reading. Although I might use more than one tarot deck. We'll see. Because I picked out another tarot deck and then I picked out an oracle. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I might use the oracle at the end, or I might use the oracle as one of the spread positions. We'll see how I feel like in the moment. So this is a tarot deck called the Abyssal Tarot, and this is an independently produced deck. Klimt Tarot is mass market. As always, I'll put links where you can find these decks down below. I have shown this deck off before for sure in my on my channel before. In fact, I think I did a walkthrough, my very first really terrible walkthrough of this deck. It's really cool. The backs are different. It has the 4 elements. So you see the air, the fire, the water, and the earth. And I think depending on how prominent that element is in the card, that's how it shows up on the deck. I'm not sure. But anyway, this seems like a perfect candidate for a Scorpio season reading, because this is all underwater photography. So you've got that watery element. It's very sensual. I mean, very, like, it's sexy and also brooding, kind of mysterious. Oh, here's the sun. I don't know if you can even tell the shift of light here, but there's all these naked bodies, underwater, and there's also some sort of like sexual deviance kind of implications in some of these photos, which I think is really like interesting and fascinating and cool. It's also really haunting and a little bit unnerving in places. It's really, it's just really feels very Scorpio-like, because it feels fiery and it feels watery and fiery at the same time, which is how I heard, was it Chantel? Yeah, Chantel from Spirited Stardust did a video that I shared where she shared some Scorpio decks, but she also shared like lots of different things about like Scorpio, how she interprets Scorpio, because I think she is a Scorpio. And if you watched my video, you know that I'm fascinated by Scorpio. It's not my sign. I'm a Gemini. But it's one of those signs that's like, ooh, Scorpios have have a reputation for being like secretive, jealous, possessive, all different kinds of things. And it's very much, Scorpio season is very much tied to, death and dying and things dark and goth and that kind of stuff. And I feel like this Abyssal Tarot speaks really well. So I definitely want to use this one. I don't know. Let me see how Klimt and this tarot deck look together. Maybe we'll intersperse them. We'll interweave them. So yeah, I think I think this is a good tarot and tarot match. Knight of Pentacles and the Tower. That's one of our cards for this Decan. The Mars card is the Tower. So cool. Maybe I'll just take out the Decan cards from the Klimt Tarot, but I don't know. We'll see. You see, you're getting an insight into just what goes through my mind. 6 of Pentacles and the Hierophant. Another cool thing about the Abyssal Tarot is that because these are photographs, these are the titles. I think that's what they are. They're the titles of the photographs themselves, but because they're words, right? For me, everything is poetry. So this says, oh my gosh, can I even read it? Rejection of virtue. 6 of Pentacles, rejection of virtue. That's so interesting. I just love how random like how, because it doesn't feel necessarily tied to the Six of Pentacles meaning, but rather I think it might be just tied to what this image is about. And then, of course, then that, you know, that all ties together. But it just makes me think, you know, just makes me think. These look really cool. I think that's going to be nice. Two of Cups and the Moon. Look at this together. You guys, this is a really, really pretty pairing. Page of Wands and Eight of Pentacles. Yeah. I wonder if you're feeling, I feel like it's super moody and very, very sensual, which I think is super cool. Wow, that's intense. Eight of Swords and Three of Pentacles. Okay, Queen of Swords and King of Pentacles. Pretty cool. All right, so I'll show you then also the Oracle deck that I was thinking of using in this reading as well. I'm making a big old mess all around here that you cannot see off camera. And that is the Magical Botanical Oracle. And this deck I have used a little bit, but not extensively. It's got this like amazing guidebook, which I definitely need. And I think I need, oh, it's upside down. Because it doesn't have keywords on it, the deck just gives you the name of the plant, bleeding hearts, and then I think that's the Latin name for the plant. Ivy, dandelion, and it has this like really neat like grimoire, antique-y kind of vintagey vibe going on, and this artwork is so gorgeous. The cards are smaller than you would imagine. Oak. I love the black cards. They're my favorite. The Witch's Garden. This, I worked with this card for sure. Angel's Trumpet. Poppy. That's beautiful. Dragon Tree. So maybe we'll use this as well. Let's put it next to our other cards and see how everybody kind of looks. Let's just make a deck family for a minute. Let's just look at everybody for just a moment. What do you guys think? Pretty, huh? I think they look really pretty together. I like it. Justice, Camellia, and the Knight of Cups, or Page, sorry. The Knave would be the Page. Oh, this is very cool. The Empress, and Love Lies Bleeding, and the Five of Cups. Okay, so here's this is our Decan card, the Five of Cups. Beautiful. Okay, let's look again. Look at this. That's awesome. Knight of Swords, Mandrake, and the Five of Swords. I really like these together. And did I say one more? Because I'm probably a liar. Okay. Oh, here's another, the Mars card, the Tower. So the Tower, Yarrow, and the Queen of Wands. Oof. I like that together too. Okay, this is going to be the last one, and then we'll actually do the reading. How about that? So we have Judgment, Willow, and the Nine of Swords. Oof. It's very, very moody. I think it's really like a good combination for the reading. So yeah, so I'm going to clean everything up, and then we're going to get on here and do the reading. And I'll see, I probably don't have enough space for these big cards, but we'll make it work. We're going to make it work. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is, because we have this one column that's like moving downwards and the other column that's rising up again, I think I'm gonna use the Abyssal Tarot for the column that's moving down, and the Klimt Tarot for the rise, for the rising bit, the part coming back up. And then I think at the end, I will just pull a card from the Magical Botanical Oracle for like to finish things off. If that's where I'm thinking right now. So that's what we'll do. I'm gonna give everybody a little bit of a shuffle, and then I'm gonna try to fit as what I can on screen, and I might shift things around. It might not look exactly like this. We'll see where we go. Okay, so again, we're going to be doing the Scorpio 1 reading, and I'm going to put this off to the side and just read these positions to you as I go. So let's just think about it. Consider how you navigate loss of any kind in your life. Now imagine that process moving down the tower and then rising up like the scorpion phoenix. And then these first 4 cards are going to be motion, how does it begin? Mystery, how to engage with the unknown. Investigation, what can help me resolve this? Severity, what can't I ignore? And then the next 3 will be birth, how did I handle this in the past? Reform, how have I changed? And 7, transcend, my next level. So let's work with this first column. So with the Abyssal Tarot, I guess I feel like I need to shuffle it just one more little time. And breathe. How does it begin? The 3 of Pentacles. Monument to the past. 3 of Pentacles. Monument. I need to move this out of the way. Monument to the past. And now I feel like I need to shuffle again. Mystery. How to engage with the unknown. Ace of Wands. What is this? Magic. Monument to the past. I'm gonna have to move things like this so that you can see them. Investigation. What can help me resolve this? Taking my time. The Star. What's the word for the star? Agnes. I guess I'll put it here. It's gonna have to do that so we can see it. And then severity. What can't I ignore? I don't usually shuffle like this. This is what I'm feeling right now in the moment, that I shuffle in between everything and that I'm flipping things over. What can't I ignore? The Lovers. Buttery violins. Wow. Okay, so my tower pillar over here, and how I navigate loss. So it begins, I've been getting the 3 of Pentacles a lot lately, quite a bit. And it's definitely something that I need to work with. Monument to the past. Really feels like the beginnings of, I don't know, these bodies moving together here, and this like intertwining, this collaboration. But for me lately, instead of the word collaboration being the key word for the 3 of Pentacles, it's felt like cooperation. And with what I have going on in terms of how things are changing in my life, cooperation with other people from my past, and in my present feels like the place where it begins, and where it used to begin. And how to engage with the unknown, the Ace of Wands. This is me so much right now. I love that the word magic is there. I have all of this creativity, like just really wanting to really wanting to come out, like these flowers that she's holding underwater. And I just that's how I navigate. This is how I like work through my stuff, is through my writing poetry. So that I have like all of this like bubbling up underneath the surface that's just waiting to kind of look. You see how she's kind of right at the water line there, the surface. So yeah. So that's how to navigate the unknown. Like that's my process with my own writing. And then the investigation, what can help me resolve this? The Star. This feels super cosmic. It's like underwater and fiery and cosmic at the same time, because this feels like cosmic water. It feels very otherworldly. And it reminds me of a meditation that I did with the Lady of the Flame as like a focal point. But it sort of feels like, I don't know, this makes me think of the Thoth star as well. And my, like how to resolve this, like I feel like it's about, I keep thinking of, you know, the water's pouring and it feels like there's like it feels like there's like this like movement, and that her hand motion is involved in that. And so I feel like in my cooperation with others and in my like process of creativity of writing, I'm like sort of swirling these like cosmic energies together to figure out my place in all of it, you know, my place in all of it, in those cycles. And what I can't ignore are the Lovers. So I'm a Gemini, and so the Lovers is the Gemini card. And while it does, you know, here make me feel like it has to do with love and commitment and relationships and partnership, it more often than not makes me think of my own relationship with myself rather than my relationship with my partner. And it's really because the Lovers is the Gemini card, it makes me feel like that it's like a significator. So this is me. It's like myself. So my relationship with myself, my true authentic self, I can't ignore that. I can't ignore myself. And I feel like that makes a lot of sense with how I've been feeling lately, in that I just need to kind of honor my own like wants and needs, and honor the way that I'm processing, you know, different situations and things that are going on in my life that have to do with like things changing or moving on. And, you know, anyway, not to get too specific there, but yeah, so that's my Tower, my deconstructing of how I navigate things. And now let's use the Klimt Tarot to like build it back up and see like what is, how I'm gonna, you know, birth, you know, how did I used to handle this in the past, and how I've changed, right? And then what is my next level, how I transcend this kind of stuff. I mean, you know, I'm not saying like not specific details about my life, because I don't want to get, you know, too personal, but just, I mean, just navigating, like, it's nothing that like I feel like is not relatable, right? So like, changes in family dynamics, and changes in friendship dynamics, and changes in like literal location, you know, because I've moved, and changes in like a new job that I've been working for the past few months. So like those kinds of things is what I mean in navigating. Like I haven't suffered a loss of any loved one recently, so that's not the kind of loss that I'm navigating. It's more like the loss of, I mean, it's also like the loss of patterns and ideas. Okay, this time I guess I'm cutting the deck. Okay, so we're gonna move down and then up. So we're birth. How did I handle this in the past? I don't usually do reversals. So we have the Knave of Wands, so the Page of Wands. And that, of course, feels like so super connected here to this Ace of Wands. The pages and the aces, I feel like, you know, they sit on the thrones, right? And these are, that the Ace of Wands is the root of the powers of fire. And this is, you know, what's seated on the throne of the power of fire. Am I getting those symbols mixed up? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But the Page of Wands, yeah. So in the past, like there's been this like kind of raw idealism and naivete around like what moves and stirs us. And what like gives me anima, like what moves me more than just like emotionally moves me. So that's how I used to handle loss in the past, with kind of like this like fiery kind of almost blind naivete and idealism. So that was my like bottom, the Scorpion. So now like the snake part, the reform. How have I changed? How have I changed? Again, I guess I'm cutting the deck. So I have changed, and I'm obviously upside down here. Oh my gosh. Another page, the Page of Pentacles. So, all right, I feel like I have changed in that I've become more realistic, right? Less idealistic and more realistic. And I kind of had to. I kind of had to become more realistic, because in order to navigate changes and loss and moving on from one thing to another, you can't just stay in this blind, idealistic, naive place. There is some naivete here too, because this is a page, but there's a little bit more realism to it, in that it's not just like living in this like instinctual world. Rather, it's in like the day-to-day real world, because this is the suit of Pentacles. So I like that. All right, and my next level, Transcend. If we get another court card here, I think it'll be really funny. Well, funny, interesting, haha, you know. Strange funny, not haha funny. Okay. So my next level is the Seven of Swords. Interesting. The Seven of Swords. Look at these three figures. Like it's like this is so weird, because it's giving like Four of Swords vibes. But there are these two like sleeping or eyes closed figures. And then the third one underneath has her eyes open. And it just feels sort of like secret. It feels secret. I guess that's the idea here. I mean, I know, you know, all the different traditional meanings of the Seven of Swords, you know, with it being like betrayal or secrecy or cheating or stealing, or, but this feels like it's sort of like underground, you know, because the swords are piercing into this, I don't know, background, and in the foreground, they feel like they're underground. That's why it's got that Four of Swords feeling. But it just sort of feels like self-preservation. It sort of feels like this dormancy, like this need to go within, for self-preservation. That's what's coming up for me. So like my next level. So it's so interesting that transcend, like the transcend is more like descent. How interesting that transcending is descending, in this case, kind of, right? So, wow, this is a beautiful spread together. It looks gorgeous on the reading mat. So, all right, I feel like I kind of understand how this, reading is working for me in terms of how I've navigated loss, how I deconstruct that, and how I'm like gonna kind of move up and change the way that I do things. Like I guess I just feel like I have more thinking to do. Like ending on the note for the seven of swords, it's like I feel like I have more thinking that I have to do internally, like within, to understand like how I process. And it's a big part of work that I've been doing, how I get through shit, basically, how I get through stuff. So let's use the Magical Botanical Oracle for kind of like a last for a last bit of message, last bit of information, last kind of sign off, takeaway idea. And I'll probably go into the guidebook for this as well. So with this, I'm kind of just thinking out loud. With this reading, I've been trying to understand my process of navigating loss and what's, kind of like an overall summary and takeaway that I can apply here. Okay, so moonflower. Wow, I love that already. Moonflower. So the moonflower, it's this beautiful, like fairy-like figure in the midst of all this. We have the moon, we have Venus, and a water symbol here. Interesting. All right, I'm gonna just go into the guidebook. So it's number 18. Go into the guidebook and see what we see here. Okay, moonflower. I like this guidebook, and sorry, but I definitely do bend the spines of my books back. So the Latin name, I'm not going to try to say. The planets are Moon and Venus, which is interesting because the Moon and Venus, I think the Moon is in fall in Scorpio and Venus is in detriment. I want to say because because the polarity of Scorpio is Taurus. I think I've got that right. So this is like the exact opposite of the Decan, sort of. But we're still in the same element. We're in the water element. I think that's interesting too. Okay, so magical meaning. Moonflower is a relative. Let me hold this up. Moonflower is a relative of morning glory, and while both thrive in full sun and heat, the moonflower only opens in the afternoon and remains open in the late evening, unlike the sunrise greeting morning glory. Sadly, its beautifully scented blooms only last a day and a night before withering. But as it blooms, it attracts nocturnal visitors such as the moth, and the moths then attract bats, granting it associations with the dark underworld goddesses. Okay, cool. So let me read the divination meaning because I'm sort of understanding it like symbolically for me right now, because it feels like with all of this navigating of loss, like I guess I was thinking that I somehow needed to bring things to light, but maybe with this Seven of Swords and this like dormancy sort of thing, maybe that is the difference of how I'm gonna behave when things change, or I'm experiencing loss, or I'm missing something from the past, is that it doesn't have to be this like grand creative revelation where I learn something intrinsic about myself, but rather maybe it's a little bit more like nighttime, and maybe it's a little bit more mysterious, and maybe it will only open up in the dark. You know, maybe I will only realize these things in times of shadow. That's what I'm thinking metaphorically. Let me read the divination meaning. Moonflower indicates finding your creative power by breaking patterns and rhythms and finding your own way. You will attract the allies that are able to help you if you do follow your own way, your own pace, and that is the secret of unlocking your magic. As the moonflower floats in the darkness, aided by her allies of the bee, moth, spider, and dragonfly. Oh, I love dragonflies. Okay, so the affirmation here is I open in my own time and in my own way. Oh, I love that. Okay, so all of these things seem to really make sense now because of this idea of the allies. It makes me feel like that's the thing, that's the cooperation. So like my process to navigate loss begins with this like forming of collaborative, cooperative allies, like opening up for a support group. You know, being able to let other people help me process my grief, loss, you know, sadness, or even just like kind of like, you know, whatever feelings I may be having about, you know, loss of any kind. And then, and like it opens up to this, what did it say? So like having the allies, so follow my own way, at my own pace, right? So this Ace of Wands, Page of Wands energy kind of feels it. And in my own way, that's, I feel like where the Lovers is coming in too. And let me see, unlocking magic. So I feel like these are connected. The Star has that magic quality. And yeah, these two are connected too because of that idealism, but the sort of creative idealism versus the realistic day-to-day world stuff. And the Moonflower and this Seven of Swords really feels like it's working in terms of like that process is not necessarily something that's like daytime clear. It's more like nighttime, you know, mysterious in a way. And also when I want to do it, it doesn't have to be, there's nothing that's saying that like I have to do things in anybody else's time except in my own, right? Just like this Moonflower is telling me. I love this reading. I thought it was going to be a lot. Here, oh man, I should have moved this over before. I thought it was going to be a lot more, I thought a lot scarier and not very necessarily very like hopeful, which is nice to get the Star. I was worried about it, but now I feel like it's, I don't know, it's really neat. It's very, it all came together, I think, quite beautifully. And yeah, I'm glad I did this on camera, and I thank you so much for sticking around with me. Again, I'm gonna put the link to the Scorpio 1 reading in the description box below, and also the link to the Decan video for Scorpio 1 so that you can find more information about, you know, the Decan in general. And yeah, thank you for sticking around with me. I hope that you all have a beautiful, wonderful day. Bye.